Welcome back to Dubbzi Bricks for another episode of building the Tantive in Lego. In the last update, I worked on the cockpit section just here. We raised it up by a couple of bricks, added the minifigures, added some details in there, and also tiled off the corridor so we could have the troops running down the corridor there. And really happy with how this is coming along. It's giving me a good idea of what the whole build's going to look like once it's finished. Now, the skin of the vessel is one thing I really want to crack on with, and I've placed a couple of orders. They've come in. However, I haven't ordered all of the parts I need. There were a couple of red bits that I failed to order, which I really need to enable me to get that ring done around the edge there. I don't want to do this part until I've got the red ring on there. It's going to be a lot easier for me to work on the outside and work my way in. So we're going to have to hold fire on doing the skin just for the time being. So I think we're going to concentrate on this update is this section just here. I need to work out how I'm going to do the skin on the back of the ship here. So that's where we're going to be turning our attention to. So I'm going to get the drawings out, just to see exactly how it's supposed to look. And then we'll try and work out what techniques we're going to be putting in there. I also need to put the lights in. So over this side, there are a couple of panels and I've put some Technic bricks in there so I can feed the lights through. I've had the lights come through from Gamer Bricks. So a massive thank you to Gamer Bricks for sending the lights out to me. And that's hopefully going to elevate the look of the build once they're all lit up. I also need to get in the panel that's going to be going across the top there. And again, that is something that I haven't yet ordered in, as the piece I want to use wasn't in stock last time I checked on the Pick a Brick wall. So anyway, let's get those drawings out and let's try and work out where we're going to start on this episode's build. And here we have our cross section. Burke and the fun and games are about to begin. We need to put a slope on the bottom. We've got the one on the top. I didn't realise there's one on the bottom as well. And then this line just here, this part of the back here, that's where our current part of the build goes to, which works out perfectly. So this cylinder bit here and on the top just there, they're going to be on the next section of the build, the part of the build where we have got the escape pods. So we're going to be working on the curved part just there. And then as you can see, it tapers out at the front. So that's going to be when it starts to get really challenging. We're going to add this red slope in here. So I'm going to need to order some more of the red slopes that I needed to order for this, which I failed to do so last time, but that's not going to be too much of a problem. I think brick build is going to be the best way. Now, on the model we have at the moment, when I'm building that bit at the bottom, the slope which is going to come down here, what I'm also going to do is change out these multicolored bricks and try and replace them with white if possible. Hopefully I've got enough of the right pieces to get that done. I know things like this here is a bracket, which I don't think I've got the right size for that, but all the other parts should be straightforward to change. The reason I want to change these over to white is when I'm putting the skin on there, if there are any gaps, which there's likely to be, at least if you can see through, you're not seeing an ugly colour that shouldn't be there, and it is just going to be white. So let's start off by change these bricks over, and also we can fill in these gaps here and reinforce that top section on the other side. And that's all the multicolour bricks swapped over to white. And I've had to amend this back section here, as when I put the panel on there, there was just a very small gap. So I'm having to rearrange where the snot bricks are. So when I attach the panel to it, it's all seamless. Now, just inside here, we've got this plate, and on top of it, we have got a snot brick. And it's one of the rounded back ones like this. And these are much better than a standard snot brick, as it means you can get a tile closer, or a brick, sorry, closer to a tile underneath. So using the round one, due to its size, the brick's flush. If you use a snot brick, it sticks up just a fraction and you've got that gap. So by using those, I can now slide my roof panel on there and let it clip into place using those bits just there. And here we have our roof panel, and it's got 4 of these 6x5 panels in here. And I would like to swap these over in the future to a different colour. There is one that somebody suggested to me a few episodes back where it's almost like a frosted glass effect. Haven't been able to get hold of any so far, but when I do, I will swap them over. It's going to be very easy to do so. And what I'll be doing is just resting some lights on the back of the panel. I'll try and do this one-handed. The roof section here just slides in like so. And then it just clips into these snot bricks on the end. So that's all nicely in place now. So now that we've got that all sorted, we can start sorting all of the lights out along the top here, put the ones inside. We just need to tidy up the cables just to make sure that they're not going to get pinched by any bricks that we put in there afterwards. So let's carry on building this all up, and I'll check back in once we've made a little bit more progress. And I think make some progress with the techniques for the fin that comes out of the side here. And what I've done, I've replaced the tiles on the panel at the back here with a plate. That's given me the studs to build off of. Then gone for a row of bricks and then some double-sided snot bricks. So the studs are on opposite sides. That's enabled me to build a brick wall on both directions. And then I will actually build the fin off of the studs that are pointing out this way. Now, when it gets to this part here, the fin finishes around about here. I'll then tile over this part here. So I'm just hoping that this all works out how I want it to do so. This will be built out using plates and tiles till it gets there. The line is going to be fractionally different, but I'm not too worried about that. I think it's going to be absolutely fine. And yeah, hopefully we're coming up with the right solution. I'm not convinced I've got a big enough curved section on this part just here at the moment, but we'll soon find out. With the whole of this build, it's a lot of trial and error. Now here we have the fin all in place, and obviously I'll be changing these grilled wedge pieces over to proper slopes once I get those all ordered in. But it's given me a good idea of how it's going to look. I'll place a row of tiles along the very top of that, and then you'll be able to get the curved slope going up to it nicely. Now this curved slope here is too big, but the idea is it will just rest on the top of it, so probably more like so. But yeah, I've just got to work out exactly how big that's all going to be. And here we have the panel on the side at the top here, and this turns out it's pretty much the right size, comes out how I want it to do so. Now I do need to work on the connection point behind there. I'm just using a couple of hinge pieces. It's a very tight connection, it's very hard to get it on there, and it would be nice to find a better solution to it. Now the next thing I'll be doing is putting a red stripe that comes from here, and it will come out to here somewhere. That's then going to enable me to build the shape that I need to on the shell just there. I haven't put the lights in behind here yet. You can see the Technic hole just behind there. So that is again something that I need to get sorted out very, very soon. In fact, I may even do it now before I go too far along the building process. I think it's probably going to be the best bet. We've only got the one light here so far. The other holes are down this end. So I'll just bring the cables down this way, and then we'll stick them up into this part here somehow. Because the way the shell is coming out, and it's going to be coming up as well, it'll be easy for me to feed the lights through there. I could just change one of these bricks here to a Technic brick, and that'd be it. Job done. And that's all the lights put in place for the corridor section. Just hoping they're going to shine through enough light through the panels. And then we've got the lights on the side here, which are going to glow the red bits inside the corridor section as well. Now I've put these studs on a Technic brick here, and these studs have got the hole in them, and that just stops the bulb from popping out through the back. Otherwise it'll be a little bit loose, and I've done the same on this side here. On the lights here, I've put the actual light through a snot brick there, and then it's going through the Technic brick, and the same again on this one just down there. That one's coming through a headlight brick. Then I'm feeding all the wires through the holes of the Technic beams, and it's all going to the connector board just there. So let's go and find the battery box and see what it looks like. And we have a little bit of a glow in there. It's looking a lot lighter on screen than it is in person. And yeah, it's not worked. The red lights, really happy with how they've come out, but the actual lights on the ceiling, the panels, although they're glowing, they're just a little bit too thick, I think, to work. And I was just about to remove these panels from the build and replace them with the trans clear glass. And I was looking at the trans clear, I thought, if anybody does look up from beneath, it's going to look so ugly. You're going to see the Technic bricks, you're going to see the wires, which is the last thing that I want. I want it to look as crisp as possible. So I had a look on Lego's website, and sure enough, the panels I'm after are in stock now. So that's all good. So I'm going to order some for this corridor, and also get some more for other corridors that I may or may not end up being visible from the display purposes. On some sections I might have it that the roof is removable, so I'm not going to need lights on that part, but I want to have them just in case, so I don't have to worry about ordering more in the future. But now we've got the wiring all sorted out, let's put the panels on the sides back on there and get back round to working on the skin of the vessel. And we've got a little bit of a technical problem on the skin of the vessel just here, and at the moment I was going to go for a pretty much 3 plate wide red strip going along the side there. However, when I start putting the reverse of this down the bottom, these Technic bricks are still going to be shown. At the top, I've gone for white bricks so that I don't have that problem. And for some reason, I thought this skin section here was going to be covering more of it. So I just need to have a look at modifying that to make this bit a little bit bulkier going across. Then hopefully we can get that all covered over. I can't move this down, as if I did, the red line there wouldn't be in line with the centre of the cones at the front here. So yeah, just need to find a solution. One thing I might do is increase the width of the red line to 4 studs. That's going to help by a couple of plates, which will help part of it, and then possibly extend the circular part up the top by 1 stud as well. And then hopefully that will cover that all over. And then I'll be able to start the white panels that are going over here, which would be the reverse of this one here. That will then cover the rest of it. Anyway, let's start making those amendments and see how it comes out. And there we have the red line going across the spaceship there, and pretty happy with the angle of what's coming out. It looks pretty good compared with the blueprints that I'm working from. I'm not happy with this section here. That needs to go, the cheese wedge. Need to just bring this along just a smidge so I can get some plates or tiles going in there so it looks seamless along there. Now the red line is causing me a few problems at the moment. It's something I'm not 100% happy with. This fin at the moment, as you can see, it's 2 studs in thickness going that way, and I'm wondering whether it should be 1. I did go for 1 stud initially, and then for some reason I changed it over to 2 as I thought it needed to be a little bit thicker. However, now I look at it, I think it actually needs to be a little bit narrower. So chances are I will change that over. Now this whole section here, in some ways I'm happy that it's coming on like it is. I love the greebling. That was great fun doing that. However, I feel like this goes up flat for too long before it starts curving over. And what I'm considering doing is, where I've got 2 rows of red plates along here, change those over to cheese wedges and then start the curve straight away going up. Now on one of the images that I looked at, it looked like there was more red line below the fin than above. Now if that is the case, that's going to be perfect, as it's going to help me with covering up the Technic bricks. At the moment we are just about achieving it, but yeah, it will give me a little bit more freedom to what parts I use on the curve just there. Now I was hoping to work on that section at the bottom, however I'm really struggling with pieces at the moment. There's so many parts that I need that I haven't got, and it is causing me a lot of delays with the build, and I can foresee this being quite a big problem throughout the rest of the build series. And it's costing me so much money to build this ship. Today I added a whole load of pieces that I know I'm going to need to carry on doing this into the basket on lego.com, and I was shocked at how much it was going to cost. It was just so much. So yeah, you're gonna have to bear with me. It's an expensive project, but it will be worth it hopefully in the long run. So what I'm going to be doing over the next few days, I'm going to try and look at a lot more images of this section, just so I know that I'm getting it right, as I don't want to sort of like do all of it and then dislike it and then have to sort of like redo it. So it's important to get it right first time out. And what I'll probably do is just do a multicolour panel to go across here, just so I know that I'm going down the right route, and also to work out which pieces I need to complete it, because as I said, I know at the moment I haven't got them, and I don't really know which parts I'm going to need as of yet. But I can foresee this wall here, I'm going to have to start building out of it. I need to put plates, bricks out, just so I can attach ball joints to it, so I can attach the panel to something on there. So nice having the lights all in here, but even nicer once I've got the right panels on the roof section just there. And as I mentioned earlier, massive thank you to Dubbzi Bricks for sending the lights out to me. It really is appreciated your continued support. Highly recommend checking out their products, and remember, if you do place an order, use code Dubbzi, you get 25% discount off your order, and I'll leave a link in the description of the video to their website. But yeah, this is great fun building it. It would have been nice to have got a lot more done in this update. I've spent so long working on this section, it's been ridiculous, just trying to get the curved edge to it looking how I want it to. And even now, still not 100% happy with that. Anyway, that's all we have time for. I hope you've enjoyed the update. If you have, please remember to give us a big thumbs up. If you haven't already done so, please consider subscribing to the channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any future content on the channel. And if you know anybody else you think would be interested in building the Tantive in Lego, if you could share the channel with them, it'd be much appreciated. Anyway, thanks for walking on by, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.